identity beneath all of the roles that we play, that we all have, that it's like in my experience, that became more of who I was and who I am. And that's how I came back in as more of who my true identity with a capital I. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. So now could you please share about your NDE experience and how
Yes.
could it change your life? Yes.
Yeah. Do you want me to look at you or where should I be looking right now?
You can look at me if you
Okay,
feel yes
great. I just want to make sure
comfortable.
that yeah,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
comfortable. So in 2015, I had been in Montessori education, and I had been teaching for over 25 years, and I had just started consulting for Montessori training centers and uh, the teacher training centers, and doing presentations at schools and conferences. And one day I was leaving work and I was walking to my car, which was parked away from the school. And I had to leave the school campus, and I had to cross a street to get to my car. And I got to where I needed to cross, and it was a pretty busy intersection. And I waited for the light to give me the right of way to cross. So the light turned red. I looked both ways. The cars had stopped, and I proceeded to cross the street. And about 3/4 of the way across the street, a big pickup truck came up from behind me. So I didn't see it coming. And it made a left-hand turn, and it hit the right side of my body, and it propelled me about 3.5 car lengths from the crosswalk and 30 feet in the air. And I know that now, from the pictures. And also, what happened was, in that moment, I whipped my head around to the right, and I didn't remember that part until later when I went back to the scene. Um, and flashes of what happened came to me. And I was out of my body, and I said, something's not right. I remember it felt like slow motion, but it happened in a split second. Yet time had also, it felt like time had stopped, like frames of a film. And I was above my body. I was looking down at my body. I was lying in the road on my kind of right front side. I was still, and there was a little bit of disorientation, because I was existing, yet I was also watching what was going on below. There was a little disorientation at first about where I was, because if I was down there, how could I also be looking and at myself there? So there was a little disorientation, and I saw myself lying on the road still. I saw and I heard with senses other than my eye vision and my hearing, the scene below, and the people. There was a man guiding a woman to stop traffic, and I heard the girl who hit me, and I saw her, and I could feel her, uh, mm, that panic, say that she had called 911. And there was an assessing of sorts of what was happening with the physical form that was me, that was lying on the body. And there was a wondering if I was going to be able to go back. And I had been very, in my life at that time, what was going on, I had just gone through a lot of things in my personal life, and I was really committed to being there for my kids. So there was a real pull to be there and heal uh, some some things that had occurred and be super present for my children. So that kind of all was in the assessing period of when I was looking down, am I going to be able to go back? Like, is that a viable form, the body, for me to go back to? And it looked like I was in one piece. So I understood that I could go back. And the next thing that I knew, the scene below faded. And it's like, I've been equating it. It's like a tea kettle. If you imagine putting the steam on the water, and as the water disintegrates, the steam grows. It felt like that. It felt like this physical form was shutting down, and the energy and the vitality of my physical body was diminishing. And as that was happening, this part of me that was existing was being energized. Excuse me. I'm going to take some water. So this part of me was being energized. And as I was being energized, I found myself in this pure blackness. And it was expansive. It was it was a kind of black that is illuminated. It was like there was a luminosity to this blackness, and it was the blackest of blackest that I've ever experienced. Yet there was also this sense of it. There was no fear. There was pure being. It was timeless. It was expansive. It was never ending. It was peaceful. There was no worry. There was no questions. There was no wanting. There was no, it simply was being. And it felt like being in pure presence. And out of that place, and this sense of being merged in and kind of, I don't want to say floating, because floating implies that there was a separate me to be floating. I simply was immersed in this expansive, illuminated blackness. And at some point, there was a wondering that emerged, and we would call it a thought. I call it like a a packet of energy. Like energy started to emerge into this kind of wondering about this place. And then it shifted, and it felt like I was in a cocoon, floating in a cocoon, and I was aware on the periphery that there were others that were floating as well in my periphery. And when I say others, it's like we were all made up of this same of this quality that was in this space. Like we were all connected somehow. And in this cocoon, it felt like I was in a waiting place of sorts. And there was no fear. There was no worry. There was no, it was simply being in this cocoon. And then out of that place, a wondering, there was a sense of waiting, and a wondering occurred about, well, if this is a waiting place, what am I waiting for? But it wasn't, it was simply like it was simply a wondering. There wasn't anything attached to it. If that, yeah. So as soon as that wondering built, like the energy built, I was in another place completely. And how I describe this is, it's like there's no density and there's no resistance that meets that curiosity or that wondering or that thought form. I'm saying thought form, but really it's energy. There's no resistance. So immediately you're in this other place. And I was in this, and I don't have a sense whether I traveled there or it emerged. It was this luminosity of this effulgence, this light, this brightness that kept growing and growing and growing. And within this light, there was a presence, and it didn't have necessarily form, yet it was clearly a presence that was of the light, that was in the light. And I knew that this presence was other than myself, yet there in communion with myself, for me, to help me, to answer questions, to show me, to guide me. And this presence, it was like if you put your forehead, and I've used this analogy, if you put your forehead to someone else's forehead and you instantly know everything about them, everything about their life, all the nuances, all of the whys and the hows and the whats, and how this was for their learning and their growth, and how they got to bear where they were going to be. I was able to see all that was going on in my life up until that point. I was able to know and see and understand it from a multi-sensory, multi-dimensional way. So it's kind of like being able to see all the different facets of something in quicker than a split second. There's no time as we know it. Time is not linear there. Time, it's timeless. And once this had happened, I understood, and I was able to see everything that had led me up until the point, and everything. There was something about my soul's journey up until that point, and in a bigger sense, and also what was going on in my life at the time. And this went on for however long it went on. Again, time is amorphous there. And at some point, there was an urgency. There was an urgency that was building, an energy that was building to get back. And it kept on building and building and building until it was time. I knew there was a knowing in this place. It was time for me to get back. If I was going back, I needed to go back. And I remember at that moment, before I came back, I heard, when you go back, it's time to live big. I heard that as loud, as clear as I'm saying it right now. It's time to live big. And I asked the presence, who are you? And I heard, I am you. And then there was a sense of descending into the body. There was a sense of, first I want to share, there was, while this was happening, there was a pull, there was this, because I started to go back into the space of seeing, of like this bilocating. I've come to hear it referred to, and I've come to understand of, there was someone, there was the EMTs were there and talking to me. So like there was this pull back. So there was like this not quite ready to go back, or this touching base, or and then being out of my body. And I was hearing myself start to say things in from my body, and watching myself say things from my physical form, yet I was still existing outside of my physical form at that point when the urgency built. So I came back down, and it felt like this descending and this density and this weighted energy. And I also remember assuring the presence and myself that I would remember what was shared with me in the experience. So as I was coming back down, there was a point in which I felt this weighted density, as if I was being squeezed into this, like a genie in a bottle. It felt like I was being fit and squeezed into this this density, this physical form, yet I was also existing outside of it. So I was in this place of experiencing the vastness of my energy field, yet also being squeezed into this body and this dense form. And I was hovering. I remember hovering a little bit outside of my body, and I could feel the density, and I could hear sirens, and I could hear uh, yelping from the physical. Oh no, the sirens didn't happen then. I was able to hear this yelping from my physical body in a very peaceful state, realizing that it was the physical form known as me that was making the sounds, and I was hearing it from outside of my body. Recognize it, again, that existing in both places, yet I wasn't consciously feeling anything at that point, although I heard myself making those sounds, or my body making those sounds. And at some point I was in the ambulance, and I remember that's when I heard the sirens, and very calmly saying, "Oh, those sirens are for me in this body. Like, those sirens are for me." And in the ambulance, I was above and within. I was above my body. I saw this man at my head was bleeding profusely. And it turned out I had lots of internal bleeding, internal swelling, multiple fractures. And there was an urgency. They didn't know where the blood was coming from. And there was a man at my head that was holding my head, talking to me. And it was like I was popping in and out at that point. And it took a long time to fully embody and integrate it. It's a process of integrating the experience. And when I was more conscious and aware, I was being taken out of the ambulance into organized chaos. There was a level 3 trauma unit that they had brought me to. And I existed in this space for a long time where I didn't really know where my body began and this energy field and other people's energy field. That took a long time to really know where my body was and the definition of this physical human Felice, like where I ended and like the boundaries of that I mean, that's still something that I'm working with, right? So that's what happened.
Wow, it's a long story with a lot
Yeah.
of experience. I think just a lot of experience in a moment, right? Just in a moment, and you've been through a lot. And so, is it right if I say that live big is a key point? So after your NDE experience,
There's two things. This is still being recorded? Yeah.
sure.
This is really important. The four main things that I heard, learned, saw that come under these kind of umbrellas are: it's time to live big. And with that, I was shown and had a deeper understanding and knowing of what it was that in general keeps us playing small. And for my life in particular, what it was that keeps us playing, was keeping me playing small. I heard all is truly well. I heard that all is truly well. I heard I am you. And I experienced the being bigger than a body. And there's a lot to share and say about all of that. And that's some of the work that I do is guiding people to a deeper understanding of all of that, and also how to apply these this wisdom and these transmissions to our lives in practical ways, because going out and having this experience is such a blessing. I feel so grateful for it. And now it's like, okay, we're in the body, like how to use this to live fuller lives, right? Like, what's the application while we're here? And also, a person does not need to have the trauma from a near-death experience to have the experience of accessing higher consciousness, accessing that I am presence, accessing a state of expanded awareness and the superconscious. So that's another thing that I've been gifted with, facilitating people to have these experiences.
Oh, so can you please explain more about the idea that we are bigger than our body?
Yes. So as we know, everything is energy, vibration, frequency. And what's beautiful right now is quantum physics and science is supporting this, right? It's catching up. And everything is energy. And it's measured. We exist beyond these physical forms. We emit certain frequencies. There are emotions that we have that have been measured at certain vibrations. And there are things that we can do in our life that affects what we emanate, that affects our vibration. And that has a huge impact on the world, on the spaces around us. It's like when someone walks into a room and you say, that person has a great vibe, or that person has a low vibe, or that person feels heavy, or that person feels light. Like, you're feeling an energy field, right? And that's because we are highly sensitive energy beings that are able to feel and pick up the energy in the space around us. Yeah. And we are so much bigger than our bodies. We are so much, it's like we are in the both end. We are souls having a temporary human experience, and we are currently in our human experience. So there's no bypassing and spiritual bypassing, right? Like, you have to acknowledge what it is going on, and the body is like the antennas. The body gives us so many clues about the energy that we're experiencing, and the energy that we're experiencing is completely impacted by what is going on in the body. So it works in this symbiotic relationship.
Wow. So, yes, very cool. I learned a lot from you, from your sharing. So, I hear that you mentioned gratitude, right? Gratitude. And
Right.
I also know that you have some gratitude practice, right? Can you share more about that?
Yes. So before my accident, the incident, I had gone through a lot of what I call resiliency boot camp. A lot of major stressors happened in my life, one right after the other, in a period of 18 months. My house had a fire. My partner had an affair. I became an empty nester. Then my house had a flood. All my jewelry got stolen. I had surgery. I mean, it just keeps on going on and on. And instead of saying, oh, it could be worse, because then I was saying it could be worse. And guess what? I was broadcasting out to the universe, it could be worse. And boom, really? Here you go. And what I found is moving into a gratitude practice of being grateful for what was in the moment, rather than saying it could be worse. Yes, more focusing on the gratitude. So, for example, uh, uh, when I was when all that stuff was happening, even the simple gratitude of a woman smiled at the store at me. I was able to help someone today crossing the street. Whatever it is, these small moments that we can be grateful for. We always have so much to be grateful for, even when things are hard, right? When things are easy, we find access to gratitude in a more easeful way. However, the invitation is to find gratitude in seeming challenges and adversity. So I say, whether you believe things happen to you or for you, what I like to say, and a question that I ask myself is, how is this for me? And or what can I use this for? And within that, I find gratitude, right? Gratitude for the opportunity to grow and learn. It's so hard when we're in the middle of something to find this light and find this glimmer. Yet through the practice of gratitude, 3 things you're grateful for when you wake up, 3 things you're grateful for at the end of the day. Maybe it's 3 wins for the day, right? Or 1 win for the day. What if it's like, oh, I went for a walk today, or I made that phone call that I was putting off, or I got out of bed, whatever it is, 3 wins for the day lead to 3 gratitudes. Like, how blessed am I that I have my feet to walk, that I have feeling in my fingers, that I could hear birds, whatever it is. We have so much to be grateful for, even and when things happen in our human lives. We're humaning, it's all an opportunity for growth and learning for our soul's evolution. And really, what's playing behind the scenes in the big picture, all is truly well. Even though it might not seem that way sometimes, all is truly well. And leaning into gratitude is huge. It really got me through some really tough times leading up to my accident, and basking in the gratitude upon returning to my body. I mean, I couldn't walk. I couldn't formulate sentences or speak. I was in a lot of rehab after my accident for my physical, I had staples in my head for my physical, the trauma to my body, and still leaning into that gratitude and service. How service is huge, right? How can I use this?
So it means that you write all the gratitude every day?
I do. I
Right.
write, I have a gratitude practice, and I've been doing this since about 2012, 13. It started where I would be grateful in my head and I wouldn't write it down. And then it went to writing it down. And there's something about writing it down that anchors it into the body, into the brain, and into the energy field of being grateful, of emitting that gratitude. So it's a really helpful practice. I do it in the morning and in the evening. 3 things I'm grateful for.
Wow, so impressive. So it
Oh,
means that gratitude thing make you feel positive, right? So
yeah, it puts things in perspective. It changes the brain wiring to pay attention to things that we're grateful for. And it helps your own energy field. It helps to it's not to not acknowledge what's going on. It's not like this toxic positivity. Oh, well, I have so much to be grateful for, so I shouldn't feel this way. Or it's not about that. It's being in both sometimes. It's being, wow, I'm really sad and I'm also grateful. Or that's when it's really important to practice. I mean, it's important every day to get in the habit of practicing gratitude, because it makes it easier in those times that we're having a hard time to see the light and experience whatever it is we're experiencing that's important.
yes, so I know that toxic positive, that is a big problem for almost everyone nowadays. So
Yeah.
that is what you do with the positive side. How about the sadness and the pain? How can you deal with that?
Well, when there's sadness or pain, I allow myself to feel it. I notice, where am I feeling it in my body? What does it want to say to me? What is it showing me where I could grow? Whatever it is that I'm feeling, I notice it. Where is it in my body? And giving it a voice, or giving it, just even noticing that it exists, allows it to then dissipate. It gives it space. It's not buried and then held in the body, which then makes us sick, because then we just keep it in our tissues and we don't pay attention and it feels constricting. It's feeling it and allowing it to be there. And also the trust, it'll pass. 3 words that I have found really helpful is "at this time." When I say time, I mean human, right? We're humans, we can experience the multidimensionality of time. And we can also, as far as uh, the experience of linear time, it's all things pass, right? Grief is a good grief. I work with someone on the somatics and the body stuff, and because it took a while to ground into my body, is it takes clock time for things to dissipate, right? It's like when you have a broken foot, it takes time, right? It takes clock time to heal. And that's a whole nother conversation, but it's it's allowing and it's trusting that this too shall pass, and all is well. In some level, all is well, even when it doesn't feel like all is well, right? You have to be in both.
Sure, sure. Everything happened for a reason, right?
Exactly. And still feeling, you know you could say to someone, everything happens for a reason. They could say, well, that's stupid, or that sucks, or I don't want, and you say, okay, how is this for me? How is this for my growth and evolution? And how can I use this? What can I use this for? How is this for serving other people? Because service always gets us out of that spin. And that's what we're here to do, is shine that light and reflect back that light of the heart into another. That's who we truly all are.
Yes. Oh, very impressive. So, yes, we have a very good conversation until now. I really like what you are sharing. It's mean a
Thank
lot. It's mean a lot, to be honest.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so before
Oh,
we, oh
yeah.
yes,
There is one other thing I want to say. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and it's really important to pay attention to what we ingest, meaning what we listen to, what we read, the conversations we participate in, what we watch. And you can hold that. Yes, there are dense energies that exist, and there's so much light awakening on the planet, and so much light available. And we will always see what we are looking for. So if you look for the ways that people are kind, and that there's light, and that there are expressions of love and compassion in the world, that's what you'll see. And I'm not saying the other doesn't exist. We don't live in a vacuum. Again, it's noticing the big picture. And also, what they tell me when I say they, it's after my experience. I have this experience with these high vibrational frequencies of light, and that there's nothing to fear. Like truly, when it comes down to it, actually, you know what? I don't want to talk about there's nothing to fear. That's a whole nother conversation. So let's not even go there. You can cut that.
Oh no, because I love you love your sharing. As what
Thank
I
you.
say is mean a lot. Yes, because that's also a thing that I really care about and I want to know about that. Mental health is, yes, it's the important thing that we need to focus on, right?
I'm happy to have if you want to do a whole nother session on mental health, I'm happy to do that because I've definitely been through the ringer, you know.
Because beside Vivian, we also have yes, a channel, just a new channel. Yes, to sharing about how we treat ourselves, like
Yes,
what you
that's
eat, how you do, something like that.
absolutely. You know, the other thing is that oh wait, there's something that wanted to be said. Oh, mental health, you know, having there's no judgment on the other side. There's nothing to fear that, you know, that you're going to go to a bad place. It's we have the opportunity when we're on the other side to reflect, to learn, to see how our actions impacted and how our intentions impacted others, impacted the collective, impacted people that we're in relationship with. And we're able to see it with a bigger perspective. So it's kind of us in a way who's I don't want to say judging, who's learning from the ways in which we weren't kind while we were here on earth. And it's really the invitation is, while we are here in these human bodies, to grow, to be kind to ourselves, compassionate and non-judgmental. And every day we have the opportunity to show up from our best selves. And we're not always going to get it right. And the gift and the blessing of being alive in these human bodies is that we get to practice. We get to try it again. We get to do it again. We get to have multiple opportunities to show up with kindness and compassion and love and non-judgment and acceptance of ourselves and of others.
Wow. Yes, thank you for your sharing.
You're welcome.
Okay, so do you have any message that you want to send to our audience?
I think that it was somewhere in there, to be kind. Oh, joy. You know, we take ourselves so seriously. Like, look for ways to increase joy, look for ways to experience joy, get out in nature, commune with the natural world, and it will guide you back to a sense of yourself, home within yourself, what's truly important, and feeling connected with that which is greater than ourselves, that we're all connected in with. And curiosity breeds spaciousness. Curiosity, get curious. Oh, that's interesting that I'm having that response. Oh, that's interesting that that person said that thing. Oh, getting curious is a really great way to create more space for possibility and for learning and for growth.
Sure. And finding the answer for our question is the way for us, is the opportunity for us to look inner ourselves, right?
Yes, absolutely. 10,000%. Look inside. So many people look outside for the answers when really it's all within us, and our connection to the divinity that we are. It's who we are at our core. It's the eternal place inside of us that has access to all of the wisdom and all of the intelligence of the greater fields of the universe, of source, whatever you give that name, God, source, love, divine, that aspect exists within each and every one of us.
Sure, sure. Yes. Thank you for your advice. I think I will try it.
Oh,
Sure, for sure.
beautiful,
Sure. Yes.
beautiful.
Yes, because I really want to understand myself outside and inside.
Exactly. Well, it's when your inner world, when who you are on the inside and who you are on the outside comes together and is in alignment, then you're in integrity with yourself and with the divine aspect of who you truly are.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Thank you for your advice once again. Thank you
You're
very much.
welcome. You're welcome.
Yes. Oh, time flies so fast, right?
Thank you.
Yes. So before we come to the end, could you please say something like a goodbye to our audience?
Yes. It's such an honor and a gift to be able to be a conduit for this information, which we all are conduits. We all have access to this information. Again, you do not need to have a near death experience to tap into this wisdom, to tap into the light, to tap into the remembering of who we are truly, where we come from, and our eternal nature, and where we will return when we leave these bodies. So blessings, blessings, blessings. Such an honor. Such an honor. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.